Penn Badgley is explaining why dating his Gossip Girl co-star Blake Lively was a struggle.
Penn Badgley just dropped what might be the understatement of the decade. During a recent appearance on the Call Her Daddy podcast, while promoting the final season of Netflix's You, Penn was asked about dating his Gossip Girl co-star Blake Lively during their time on the show. His immediate response? It was the struggle.
Did you feel like you were able to separate your actual job from your reality and actually able to grow in your 20s, or did it all feel like it was kind of merged?
I mean, that's a great question because it was the struggle.
Those 4 words speak volumes about what was really happening behind the scenes of one of TV's most beloved on-screen couples. For years, fans have wondered what actually went down between Penn and Blake during their 3-year relationship that coincided with their roles as Dan Humphrey and Serena van der Woodsen. Now, we're finally getting some insight into the complicated dynamic that existed when the cameras weren't rolling. What made their relationship particularly challenging wasn't just ordinary couple problems. It was the bizarre parallel universe they were living in. As Penn explained, there's a fundamental difference between film and television work.
There are many differences between film and television. One of them is that when you do a film, you do it once, and you kind of give it your all, and then you move on, whether you want to or not, you do.
With a film, you commit intensely for a short period and then move on.
When you do a television show, you're doing it constantly.
Television, especially a cultural phenomenon like Gossip Girl, means living in that character's skin for years. When you do a television show, you are doing it constantly, Penn explained.
He went off, does go on tangents. He's right. There's a difference between film and TV. Film, it starts, it ends. You move on. In TV, it lasts for years, playing that character. People respond to that character. It's a lot more different.
Clearly choosing his words carefully. The pressure wasn't just from playing the same character for 6 years. It was the inability to separate himself from Dan Humphrey in the public eye.
What people seem to think of Dan seemed to be what people thought of me.
Everyone saw him as his character, called him by his character's name on the street, and expected him to be the same person off-screen. Now add dating your on-screen love interest to that equation, the lines between fiction and reality became dangerously blurred. Penn admitted he was only 21 or 22 at the time and simply didn't have the emotional maturity to understand how to differentiate myself just in terms of self-worth.
And I was 20, I was 21, 22, so I didn't have the emotional maturity to understand, to how to differentiate myself just in terms of self-worth.
When everyone confused Dan and Penn, and he was dating the actress who played his on-screen girlfriend, it created a perfect storm of identity confusion. Nerd. What's fascinating about Penn's interview isn't what he said, it's how he said it.
This guy takes his time. So you either appreciate that or it annoys you. But I think he's trying to find the right word, and he did say struggle earlier.
Not knowing...
Throughout the entire segment, Penn appears to be walking on eggshells, carefully selecting every word, taking long pauses between thoughts, and seemingly monitoring himself to avoid saying anything that could be misconstrued as criticism of Blake. The caution in his approach speaks volumes. He never directly criticizes Blake, but his careful phrasing and obvious reluctance to elaborate suggest that there's much more to the story than he's willing to share publicly. He's being deliberately vague, while also signaling that the relationship wasn't all Hollywood glamour and romance. This measured approach isn't surprising given Penn's spiritual path as a member of the Baha'i faith, which emphasizes unity and discourages gossip or speaking negatively about others. His commitment to maintaining a level of professional respect, despite whatever may have happened between them, shows remarkable restraint in an industry where exes often publicly undermine each other. When asked about his current relationship with Blake in previous interviews, Penn has admitted, "We haven't spoken in a while," describing their relationship as an amicable silence.
She's happily married to Ryan, whom she's just had a child. This was 10 years ago. "We haven't spoken in a while," Badgley told HuffPo. "But there's an amicable silence, if that makes any sense."
That gentle phrasing tells us everything we need to know. They don't hate each other, but they certainly aren't friendly. He didn't even send a wedding gift when Blake married Ryan Reynolds. The contrast between their careers post-Gossip Girl couldn't be more striking. While Blake has built her image as one half of Hollywood's perfect couple with Ryan Reynolds, Penn has taken a quieter route, focusing on more complex roles like his character Joe in You, and maintaining a relatively low public profile. What makes Penn's careful comments particularly interesting is how they fit into a larger narrative that has been emerging about Blake Lively's professional relationships. Without naming names or pointing fingers, it's worth noting that Penn isn't the only former colleague who seems to have had complicated experiences working with Blake. The timing of this resurfaced interview coincides with recent controversies surrounding Blake's professional conduct. In what appears to be more than coincidence, an article from 2023 in Variety, where Penn mentioned that Blake didn't drink and in some ways saved him from going down that road, mysteriously resurfaced in the Mirror right as Blake was navigating public relations challenges. The careful way Penn navigates questions about Blake mirrors how other industry professionals have recently approached similar topics, choosing words precisely, avoiding direct criticism, yet not offering the kind of glowing praise one might expect for a former partner or colleague. What stands out most in Penn's interview is his remarkable self-awareness and growth.
He seems to be more professional in that. Seems like a good dude. Seems like a guy who has found more self-maturity and inner, being knowledge.
He acknowledges that at 21, he lacked the emotional tools to handle the pressure of fame and the complicated dynamics of dating a co-star in the public eye. Now, years later, he can articulate those challenges with perspective and nuance. "I didn't have the emotional maturity," he admits, showing a level of self-reflection that's rare in celebrity interviews, rather trying to remain respectful while also being honest. Many have noted the similarities between Penn's speaking style and that of others who share his faith tradition: measured, thoughtful, and careful not to engage in gossip. This approach stands in stark contrast to the rapid-fire, controversy-seeking style that dominates much of celebrity culture. The positive reception to Penn's interview demonstrates a growing public appreciation for celebrities who can address difficult topics with nuance and respect. In an era of gotcha journalism and clickbait controversies, Penn's measured approach feels refreshingly authentic and mature. Penn's revelations, cautious as they are, contribute to an emerging counter-narrative to the carefully constructed public images we see from Hollywood couples. They remind us that what we see on screen or in carefully curated social media posts rarely reflects the full reality of celebrity relationships. His acknowledgement of the struggles inherent in dating a co-star while navigating fame offers valuable insight into the unique pressures faced by young actors in hit shows. It's a reminder that behind the glamour and apparent perfection of Hollywood relationships, there are real people dealing with complex emotions and challenges. For young actors currently in similar situations, dating co-stars while playing romantic interests on screen, Penn's reflections offer an important cautionary tale about the importance of maintaining boundaries and a strong sense of personal identity separate from one's character. What can we learn from Penn Badgley's carefully worded interview? Perhaps the most important lesson is that celebrities are under no obligation to share the full details of their private relationships, even when those relationships played out partly in the public eye. Penn's approach, acknowledging difficulties without engaging in public criticism, offers a template for how to address complicated past relationships with maturity and respect. It's possible to be honest about challenges without tearing others down in the process. As viewers and fans, we should be cautious about reading too much into celebrity relationships, recognizing that what we see on screen or in interviews represents only a carefully curated fraction of the full story. The rest remains private, as it should. As Penn promotes the final season of You on Netflix, he continues to demonstrate the thoughtfulness and complexity that have made him one of the more interesting actors of his generation. His willingness to reflect on his past experiences while remaining focused on his current work shows remarkable professional maturity. For fans of Penn's work, his careful navigation of these personal questions only adds to his credibility as an actor capable of bringing nuance and depth to complex characters. His journey from Gossip Girl heartthrob to the complicated anti-hero of You mirrors his personal evolution from a young actor struggling with fame to a mature artist comfortable with his place in the industry. Whatever actually happened between Penn and Blake years ago may remain largely private, but his willingness to acknowledge the challenges while refusing to engage in petty criticism speaks volumes about his character and values. The struggle he references wasn't just about dating Blake. It was about finding himself amid the chaos of sudden fame, blurred boundaries between fiction and reality, and the normal challenges of navigating relationships in your early 20s. That he's emerged from those challenges with such perspective and grace is perhaps the most interesting part of the story. What do you think about Penn's revelations? Do his careful word choices tell us more than his actual statements? And have you noticed similar patterns in how other celebrities navigate questions about difficult professional relationships? Let us know in the comments below.